So before the game, I predicted that it would be a draw. Pessimistically, I must add. I did think Bologna, given the fact that they said during the game actually that it's been a long time since they've lost in Europe at home, and they were pushing for the top 8 spot. I thought they were going to maybe get the win tonight, but it finished Bologna 2, Celtic 2. Celtic, of course, you could look at it from a couple of different ways. 2 goals up to then come away 2-2. It's snatching a draw from the jaws of victory in a case. However, when you look at the mitigating circumstances of the fact that they were down to 10 men for 65-70 minutes of the game, and Celtic are generally quite inconsistent, to say the least, away from home in Europe, it could be a massive point heading into the final game day against Utrecht, which you would expect Celtic to win that game anyway, but Utrecht, I think, mathematically out regardless. So you would imagine that Celtic, that point plus potential 3 next week, as long as they show up and get the job done, it will be enough to see Celtic through to the top 24, unless something unbelievable happens around them, which, luckily as well for Celtic, a lot of the teams that are vying for that top 24 spot are playing against each other, and assuming that Rangers get the job done against Ludogorets tonight, that does Celtic a favour as well, because they are currently the team below them in the race for the top 24. But in terms of how the game went, Celtic got off to a brilliant start. A massive mistake from the Bologna goalkeeper. He passes the ball right to Daisamaida's feet, who keeps himself composed, gives it to Reo Hatate, who had quite the night himself, making it 1-0 5 or 6 minutes into the game. And then just after that, they had the chance to make it 2-0, where Yang had his effort saved onto the post. From there, Bologna looked to try and get themselves back into the game. A couple of good and defensive interventions from Austin Trusty, who was man of the match, and rightfully so. He stops Bologna from getting themselves back into the game. Kasper Schmeichel, a couple of good saves too. And then, in the space of 3 minutes, Reo Hatate gets his first booking and a second yellow card. Now, there's been a debate about whether the second yellow card is harsh, but you can't just do that while you're on a booking, leave a leg dangling. Whether the Bologna player makes a meal of it or not is irrespective. You're asking for trouble when that happens. I think if he had survived and not been booked as well, I think Martin O'Neill probably would have subbed him off for that as well, just because he would have been a bit of a liability at that point. However, contrary to what a lot of people probably thought was going to happen, when it did end up 10 versus 11, Celtic did extend their lead remarkably from a corner. Kieran Tierney, who is not the usual set-piece taker for Celtic, whips in a delicious ball. Arnott Engels gets the flick on, and Trusty, proper centre-half's finish with the left boot off the bar and into the net to make it 2-0 to Celtic at that point, and Celtic hung on until half-time. Changes were made by both sides at half-time. Bologna making some attacking changes to get back into the game. Celtic taking off Tenecte to bring on Nygren to try and shoot up the middle of the park. And Celtic dropped really deep to try and preserve the result. Probably in the mind thinking, if we drop deep, we won't concede 3 at least. Just to come away with something, because a point could be really big for Celtic at this stage of proceedings. And unfortunately for Celtic, Bologna do claw one back about 10 minutes into the second half. It's a flicked on header from relentless crossing, it has to be said. Celtic were doing well to throw bodies on the line. Particular shout outs to Austin Trusty, Colby Donovan and Kieran Tierney. They were meeting everything at the back tonight, but I say everything apart from a couple. It's a decent header. It's down low, and Schmeichel, he's kind of stepping across. It comes off his thigh and into the back of the net. Not really much you can do about that. The argument could be made for the second goal from Bologna, where Rowe cuts inside and fires a powerful shot on his left. Maybe Schmeichel thinks that Scales is going to get a head onto it, but there's an argument that he could be doing better here. The ball does travel at pace, but he does make a couple of point-blank saves in the game that you can maybe argue he should potentially be saving this. From there, Bologna did obviously push to get the winner. Celtic had a couple of chances on the break as well to maybe get something from the game. Two in particular, there was a good ball in behind from Paolo Bernardo late on to the substitute Johnny Kenny, who drives forward with it, and instead of trying to slip in Dyson Maida, who would have been one-on-one with the goalkeeper, which isn't a guaranteed goal, as we know, he turns back around instead, and then the attack is gone from that point. And then almost in the last dying embers of the game, Benjamin Nygren gets a ball played in behind to him, and he overhits his cross to Dyson Maida. But overall, I think Celtic fans will be, and the Celtic team will be disappointed not to hold on for the win, especially going 2-0 up. But if you'd asked them before the game, would they have taken a draw? I think absolutely. And given the fact that it was 10 men for so long, I think it is a good result for Celtic over in Italy. That's going to do it for the match reaction. If you are new around here, please consider checking out some of the other content on the channel, liking and subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next one.